Well, it is Friday and it is hot and muggy and humid out there today. And I love it. I love the hot weather. I love sticky weather. It's my favorite. I just don't like being cold. So I love this warm weather. And this is the weather where you want to be on a lake somewhere, right? Like that little pool in your backyard is not going to cut it. You need a lake today to stay cool. And I have had several lake experiences in my life. I remember one fond ish memory was I was in elementary school and a friend's family took my sisters and I up to Wisconsin Dells, and we were right on Lake Michigan, and we were having a beach day. And there was on shore, there was this inflatable boat. It was a tiny little inflatable boat, and there were oars. And I decided I was going out on a 3-day tour. I was just going to get in that little boat and just go like paddle around in the lake on this hot summer day in the sunshine. And for some reason, I don't know why, but I just took one oar with me. I was young and thought 2 oars is too much. And so I just took one oar with me, got out on that lake, and was splashing around in the waves. And all of a sudden I turned back and I realized shore was very, very far away, that I was nowhere near shore. And so I decided, all the people on the shore looked really, really small. And so I was like, it's time to get back there. And so I took my one oar and paddled with all my spaghetti arm might. And I realized very quickly that I was getting nowhere. And in fact, the wind was pushing me farther and farther from shore. And so all my flailing and oaring and rowing was getting nowhere. And so I was panicking. I was like, how am I ever going to get back to shore? Like, shore looked so safe, and everyone was on shore on their towels having a relaxing time. And I was in full panic mode out in Lake Michigan, in the open seas of Lake Michigan, and the wind and the waves. And so I knew there was no way I could get myself back. And so I started yelling for help at the top of my voice, full lung capacity, yelling, screaming for help, like panic mode, screaming for help. And I was flailing my arms in my one oar, trying to get people's attention that I could not get back. There was no coming back for me. And so I was yelling for help, and some random guy swam out to my rescue in the wind and the waves and grabbed me and pulled me back. Swim with one arm, pull me, swim with one arm, pull me. But so I made it back to shore. I did. I made it back. I got on shore. I was definitely emotionally scarred after that lake experience. And that lake experience, I got back on a lake. I've got back on a lake, but now my speed is my preferred hangout space on the lake is my parents live on a lake, and they have we buy these massive inflatable islands, and we blow them up every year. We blow them up really big. They have seats and the water can splash in, and they have drink holders. But here is the difference. We sit on that little island, and there is no fear that we are going to be adrift at sea. There is no fear that we are not going to make it back to shore or have a leisurely afternoon. There's no fear for anything but just fun, because here's the difference between my inflatable boat with one oar in Lake Michigan and this inflatable island is we take a bag. This inflatable island comes with a bag, and you fill it with rocks, the biggest rocks we can find in the bottom of the lake. And we put the rocks in the bag, and we tie the bag to a long rope, and one end goes onto the island, the inflatable island, and one end goes onto this bag of rocks. And you know what we do? We drop that bag of rocks into the lake underneath the inflatable island. And that puppy is going nowhere. Like it may blow a few feet one direction, a few feet up either, but it is never too far from shore. It is never too far from the dock. It is never too far. The only screams that you may hear coming from that island are either like a kid who is like wrestling another kid, or a call for another Diet Coke or some sunscreen, right? The only cry for help is for like a snack on that island, right? Because there is an anchor that is holding that thing in place despite the winds, despite the strongest winds, despite the waves or the current. That thing has a bag of rocks that keeps that thing from going anywhere. And I believe that we need in our day today, we need a bag of rocks that we need to drop underneath our lives that will hold us steady in the crisis within a crisis that we're experiencing as a nation, as people who have hearts and care and want to see reconciliation and systems changed in our day, and the heartbreak of injustice and just the political upheaval and the economic, and even just in our lives in terms of coming out of pandemic and what that has been like for us, that we need a bag of rocks. And I want to just point to one man who had a bag of rocks that he dropped is an anchor below his life, and he never brought back up to recheck or to take a few of those things out. And it was David. And David's going to show us how, in an uncertain day, and actually in a messy day, and in a day of hardship, in a day where, he's uncertain of what is ahead for him, he's going to show us what kept him steady. And this is in Psalm 63. This was a song that David actually wrote when he was in an absolute mess. He had faced betrayal from his family. He was on the run. His life was on the run. His future, there was no certainty of his future. It was political upheaval everywhere for him. It was an absolute, life was in turmoil. And he wrote a song. He penned a song to show us what a bag of rocks can do, and how a bag of rocks can keep you as an anchor despite what's going on, despite your circumstances, despite even the wrongs that have been done to you. And so David writes this in Psalm 63, and he says this, he says, God, you are my God. Earnestly I seek you. My soul thirsts for you. My body longs for you in a dry and weary land where there is no water. And he goes on to say this. He says, so I've looked for you in your sanctuary to see your power in your glory. Because your loving kindness is better than life, my lips shall praise you. And I love how David wasn't looking for anything but God himself. You are my God, and I earnestly seek you. My soul thirsts for you. I hunger. When I hunger for you. In a dry land where there's nothing, God, you are the answer. You are my answer. And so he says this, so I have looked for you in the sanctuary to see your power and your glory, that you still are in your sanctuary, God, and you still are covered in glory and power, that you still maintain the height of power and the height of glory in your sanctuary, despite what's going on around me. And so this held David, and it held him in the hardest of times and the worst of times. And this is what I want, what David had, that cry, God, it's you I'm seeking. And it's you my soul thirsts for. And it is you my flesh longs for in this dry and thirsty land. You are my help. You are my rock. You are my protector. You are the source of power that I need in my life. And so that's what I'm looking for us in this day, to have a bag of rocks that will hold us, and to say, despite what we see going on around me, I will come back to this vision. God, you in your sanctuary. You on your throne, full of power, full of glory, steady at all times. That you haven't shifted, God, that you haven't moved, that you haven't been sidetracked by the things that are going on around us. And so, God, I would love us to just meditate on Psalm 63 a bit today, and that prayer, that cry that David had that kept him steady would be a prayer and a cry that would just bubble up out of us, of all the things I could thirst for, of all the things I could long for. God, it's you. And everywhere I look, I still see beyond. I look past and I see you in your sanctuary, full of power, full of glory. And so here's where I'm going to stay. I'm going to stay with my lips full of praise. It's the bag of rocks that is underneath this boat, this inflatable that I am bouncing around on today. You are still worthy of praise. You are still in your sanctuary. And here is the place that I maintain and I stand on this earth, is one that just looks up to see you in your sanctuary. So that's what I'm hoping for us to lean into as a group of people, to see God in his sanctuary, to continue to look, thirst, hunger, desire him and him alone. So we will be back on Sunday, tomorrow, Saturday. So won't be here at 11, but be back on Sunday before the service. We have a Zoom foyer that we just open up so we can see each other, we can connect, we can hear about how things are going, how life is going. But we're going to have worship, and Kevin's going to be preaching on just an absolute timely word on loving our neighbor today, and it's going to be awesome. So hope to see you there. Open your email newsletters, and there's a video in there where Kevin and I are telling you about this next phase 3 for us as a church. But bless you guys. We're praying for you. Can't wait to see you when we gather again soon. Take care.